Okay, um, I'm not gonna edit this video, so I'm gonna leave out all the pauses and it's as real as it gets because I struggle. I have so much video footage and I haven't edited it because I'm lazy, I guess. I don't know, I just haven't. I'm not motivated. When I'm not motivated to do something, then it usually doesn't get done. Anyways, this is what I'm trying to stay focused. I wrote out a script. That's why I'm starting so late. I wanted to start a lot earlier, but it didn't work out because I wrote out a long script because I have social anxiety. And that's why I struggle making videos. I already knew I had social anxiety, and that's why sometimes I might seem like fake or whatever. It's because of that. And um, it's not that I want to be fake. I want to be me, and I struggle because I want to be nice and come on, portray myself as um, calm and pleasant, but sometimes, being a Scorpio, I'm very passionate, and it's hard for me to um, keep the emotions in check. Anyways, maybe some of you can relate. So, um, one of the problems that I wanted to talk about is I have neighbors that enjoy being outside and making noise. And one of them is a young family, which I really like, but their children are really nice. The problem is she lets other neighborhood kids come over and play with her kids. And then there's this one little boy who's been coming over for the past maybe a couple months, and he's well, their youngest child screeches and screams, but this one, he sounds, there's something wrong with him. I watched them, to figure out who it was. And I used to not, here's what I'm just going to leave it at this. I used to not believe in demons, but I've revised that belief. It wasn't because of him initially. I'll have to make another video about that sometime. But this kid's really got some emotional issues. Have you ever watched horror movies? Like if you're Gen X, there used to be these cheesy, stupid horror movies back in the day. And I don't know why I watched them because I hate them now, but I guess it was just the end thing to watch back then. But they had these blood-curdling screams, and that's what I'm talking about. It's not like yelling. I can deal with yelling and the occasional scream, but this is a whole new level. I don't know how to describe it. Anyways, so that's what I'm dealing with. I asked the neighbor lady, and I think she took it the wrong way. They were quiet for a few weeks, but now it's back to the same thing. So I don't know what to do. I guess I'm gonna have to ask her opinion about that little boy. Ask her if she thinks there's something wrong with him, because there's something definitely wrong with him. He's got emotional issues, and I don't think it's a good thing for him to be playing with other kids until he gets some help, because that just spreads. I mean, he he instigates things, and then the other two little boys, her children, um, I hear them making more noise. Like I just don't. Anyways, so enough of that. So I was planning on doing a bunch of videos for each day of November, because my birthday's in November, and I just wanted to do something special to cheer myself up and to get myself motivated, and try and get into a better habit groove of making videos. But I started the month out fairly upbeat and optimistic, and then, however, I'm going by a script because, as I said, I have social anxiety and my mind goes blank, blank, because I don't know what I'm saying. So anyway, by the second week of November, my outlook had just went considerably downhill, and some days it was a struggle to get out of bed. I'm also dealing with several issues, serious issues in my personal life that have to do with legal stuff, which my father passed away in September, and he left me everything in his will, so I don't have any money to, it's just a long story. Certain people in my family sabotage me, including my dad. Thanks, Dad. After taking care of him for 4 years, this is how he did leave me everything, but it's not much. I mean, the house, he was a smoker. He destroyed the house with smoke. So it's probably going to have, I know the ceilings has popcorn ceilings that has to be taken out. I can't do it. I don't have the money. The walls need to be kilsed, repainted. All the flooring, the carpeting needs to be torn out, because the toxic chemicals, I looked this up a long time ago. Toxic chemicals, when you're a smoker inside the house, it gets into everything, and it soaks in, and then it off gases. Some people might not know that. I do, because I talked with my older brother who was telling me, because my dad asked him to fix his CD player, and while he was here visiting, and because he's good at mechanical stuff and fixing, radio players and washers and dryers and refrigerators and TVs. He's passed away now, but he was telling me at the time that he looked in there and it was just yellow, dark yellow, because of damage from my dad smoking. So I was curious and I looked it up, and sure enough, everything in the house, when you're a smoker, the smoke penetrates everything and damages it. Oh, I also figured it out because I bought a used Bose stereo on eBay a long time ago, because I couldn't afford a brand new one. And that one was expensive as it was. I paid like $300, I think. And that was the cheapest one I could find at the time. And then when I got it home, I opened it up and it was just, the stench of smoke. It was disgusting. I didn't know what to do. I was so I was just so depressed because I didn't have any more money to spend on. And I suffer from sensory issues um, because I'm pretty sure I have autism, but I know I have ADHD. And I can't, when there's outside noises, I can't drown them out in my head. It Everything is just like a cacophony of noise, and it all blends together, and it just is extremely disorienting. And um, I can't deal with it. So, like when I have neighbors, which I always happen to have bad neighbors that make a lot of noise every time, all throughout my life too. It's very interesting. Even when I was a little kid and we lived in Ohio, we had bad neighbors. Um, they weren't loud because we lived out in the country, but they were jerks. So I'll have to talk about that some other time too. Anyways, so all throughout my life I've had bad neighbors who've made a lot of noise and troublemakers, and it's just strange how I always happen to end up next to these people. But since I'm not wealthy, I can't choose my neighbors, I can't choose my family. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So, to get back onto track, so certain people in my life have sabotaged me repeatedly throughout my life, including my own father, who I took care of for the last 4 years of his life. Um, I'll have to make a separate video of that sometime about caring for both my parents, first my mom, and then my dad, and the current plight of caregivers, family caregivers, and professional caregivers in this country, the United States. Um, it's really, really, really bad. A lot of people don't know until they have to go through it themselves. And a lot of people do know on a certain level, because when it comes to them stepping up and helping, you can't you won't see them, you won't hear them. They'll come around every couple of months and pretend like everything's fine, and you're not, the person who ends up being the sole caregiver in the family isn't busting your ass and suffering, and completely your whole life is down the drain because number one, you lose all your friends because you don't have time. You don't have time to go out and have a boyfriend, or you don't have time to go out to even take a walk, or go to a restaurant, and because who's going to take care of your parent? I got lucky in some respects because he was a vet and he had the VA paid for all of his caregiving, thank God. Otherwise, I probably would have ran away. I might have lived out of my car, but I wouldn't have been able to take care of him all by myself. There's just no way, because he was troublesome. Um, I don't know how to cantankerous. Passive aggressive at times. He'd do little vindictive things. I'd try to do nice things for him, and then he'd always ruin it, find some way to ruin it. And I would tell him that. I'd say, here I am trying to make something nice for you, and you have to ruin it. It was really sad because I wanted to have a good relationship with him and get along with him. But there's just something in him that I think it was because maybe he just didn't want to get too close to anybody and allow himself to relax and be loved and love somebody else and trust a person. I think that's what it was. Because I have a little bit of that I have a lot of that going on within my own self. It's so hard to relax and actually trust somebody after you've been backstabbed by people that you love and you thought were, you know, going to be there for you, and then they backstab you. That's the most painful thing in the world, is having somebody that you trust and you love and you think, oh, they're there for me, I can rely on them, and then they do the most hateful, wicked things and basically ruin your life. There's repercussions for years and years, if not, physical, like financial or, whatever. If you have, like, because I've had stuff stolen out of my room when I was taking care of my mom. My mom and I had to go stay at my younger brother's and his wife's house, and because we had to evict my niece and her boyfriend and their children because they took over my mom's house. I was trying to take care of my mom. She was my priority, and they resented that. They thought that they should have the run of the house. And so I finally just told them, hey, do you think it's time for you guys to find a place of your own? Well, oh my gosh. That was, they just thought that I was the most terrible person for even suggesting such a thing. And then they tried to turn it around and make me look like the bad person, saying that I was sponging off my mom and buying stuff for myself, when in actuality I was trying to save her life by buying, useful supplements to try and turn her health problems around and hopefully, try to get her off of some of the medications that she was on, because there's such horrific side effects. But that didn't happen because it was just basically too late. I'm a healer, and I want to, it doesn't even matter how I personally feel about the person. Like my dad, I tried to mitigate some of the damage that he had done to himself through smoking and drinking, because he was also an alcoholic. But people always try to, like, think the worst of me, and I don't know why. I guess because I can come off as a bitch. Excuse my language. Because I don't let myself be walked on. I mean, there's times when I do let myself be walked on, and because I want to keep the peace. I'm not like a person who likes to argue, but at times enough's enough. So I think that's what it is. I let people break down my boundaries or overpass my boundaries, and then when I start pushing back, they don't like that. So if I had done it from the very beginning, maybe they would just not like, they know who they're dealing with, because I just try too hard to be Mrs. Nice Guy, and then that doesn't work out for me in the end, because um, they just think that they can continue to treat me badly. And then at some point, I'm not taking it anymore. You know, I try to be nice. I try to get along with people and not argue. And I try to compromise, you know? So, sorry, I'm just rambling on. This video is going to be way too long. Anyways, I'm just rambling on because I just feel so passionately about things and my past and how people have treated me. So that's something that I have to work on and try to heal. It's going to take a lot of work. I need to get away from these people, though. How can I when I don't have the financial ability to do so? See? And I don't want that kind of person in my life at all. I draw the line. As soon as I see those signs in somebody, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. My life is I'm already 55. I don't want to deal with this shit and this stuff anymore. Anyways, let's get back on track. So, I was going to make videos all throughout December. So this is the video about how November 2025 kicked my butt. Come to find out, I did an internet search for how many planets were in retrograde during November 2025. Guess how many? This is just like mind-blowing. So here's what AI had to say. In November 2025, five planets were in retrograde simultaneously, creating a period of significant cosmic activity and reflection. This rare alignment included Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, each influencing different areas of life such as communication, growth, discipline, innovation, and dreams. There you go. That's why I couldn't get out of bed. So it goes on to say, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius and Scorpio. Mercury began its retrograde in Sagittarius on November 9th, which it lines up, second week in November. And then it moved into Scorpio on November 28th, affecting communication, travel, and the uncovering of hidden truths. So in Sagittarius, which is communication and travel, because Sagittarius, that's the sign of, great communication, and they love, traveling and getting out and about and being outside. So this phase brought a focus on honesty and emotional clarity, with potential for miscommunications and the surfacing of secrets. So you can see that not only in our personal lives, but also in political and worldwide, all the different countries are in chaos and turmoil. So a lot of stuff's going down. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer Starting on November 11th, again, second week of November, Jupiter's retrograde in Cancer emphasized emotional security, family, and personal boundaries, urging a reevaluation of where one finds true stability. So I barely talked to anybody in my family during the month of November, even the people that I usually get along with, because I was afraid of that I might go off on them, because nobody's perfect. They aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. So I just didn't want to, because there's some things that I don't agree with them, and they like to simplify things when they give me advice, and it's never as simple as they want to make out. So if I followed their advice, it wouldn't go the way they think it would. It wouldn't be successful. And right now, in this time of my life, I can't make any stupid decisions anymore, because I've made stupid decisions in my past, and I've thoroughly suffered very thoroughly for my stupid decisions that I've made. So I have to really be careful about what I'm doing. And it's scary, because I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Anyways, I got a shirt on, and then I also have this because my throat is sore and cold. It's kind of cold here today. So anyways, let's see, where was I? Whenever Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. Okay, Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Saturn has been in Pisces retrograde for quite a while now, which I didn't know. And Saturn is quite important in your chart and in the overall astrology, because it's the planet of, I can't deal with that noise. It's a planet of how shall I say it? Showing you where you need to improve in your life, and giving you much needed lessons. It's like a parent, you know. People often, including myself, people who are new to astrology, they kind of get fearful of Saturn, but it's actually trying to make you into the best version of yourself that you need to be, that you want to be. And so then you go through really hard lessons. So you suffer a lot of hard lessons early in life before your Saturn return, which is usually around your 30s, your early 30s. And so anyways, let's see. So Saturn's retrograde in Pisces ended on November 27th, testing the balance between dreams and reality, encouraging deep work like shadow work, and decluttering your mind and your physical environment, which I've been trying to do with my dad's house. And it's in order to align your effort with long-term goals. So clutter is detrimental to your mental state and um, your physical. I mean, like if you let your house go, then you're going to have problems. Because never, well, that's what I was trying to tell my dad, you know, because he was, my parents' generation were very frugal, and they didn't like to deal with problems until it was actually a problem. Like, so say, well, like here, there's trees, and then the roots get into the pipes and cause the pipes to clog up, and then you get a backup of water coming in the house and the toilet and, you know, wherever. So we've had to deal with that a couple of times. And my dad was such a cheapskate that, you know, I'd finally get a plumber because they're not cheap, and then when you have an emergency, you're gonna pay for it. If they have to come out at short notice, you will pay. And so that was a problem with my dad, and it was just such a struggle because I'd finally get somebody here, and then they'd tell my dad how much it was going to be, and my dad would say, "Oh, we'll just find somebody else." And he was really rude about it too. And so it was so embarrassing for me because I like to treat people with respect because they're actually here helping us deal with an unsavory problem, because usually plumbing problems are unsavory. You got stinky water, um, sewer, backup, sewer flowing out of the toilets. That's what we were dealing with. So, um, that's the kind of person my dad was. And so forgive me if I got a little, you know, upset, and my language, you know, my language or my attitude and my, you know, I wasn't Miss Congeniality all the time. God forbid, you know, I state my problem with things because everybody just thought I should just be an angel or something, dealing with the person that my dad was, because he was never diagnosed with narcissism, but he had a lot of he might have even been a psychopath. I don't know, because just things that would pop up looking back over the course of his life, and how he did my mom and my family wrong. I don't know. It's hard to say. And I don't, well, I'll talk about this later. But, anyways, let's get back into the why November 2025 was such a difficult time for all of us. So, Uranus entered into Taurus on November 11th, shifting the focus from mental shocks to physical sensations and stability, prompting a reevaluation of values and material choices, which is what I'm having to go through. As I said, I inherited this house and all its belongings, and then so I have to deal with legal matters, and I wasn't gonna get into this, but one of my nieces, she finagled her way into getting my dad, and this is fraud, because he sold his car, and she found a way to get him. She went with him to the bank when I wasn't here, even though I have power of attorney and was his caregiver, and put all that money from his car into a separate account that only she had control over. And at the time, I was just exhausted. I was already exhausted from dealing with him, his personality, and her, and the rest, some of the other people in my family. So I just didn't have the strength and the mental fortitude at the time to change things. At the time, I just thought it was better to just, because I was taking care of my dad, I wanted to get along with him as best as I could. I didn't want to argue with him, which it would have been an argument, because she's probably a narcissist too. That's the kind of people I'm dealing with in my family. They're nice and okay until they're not nice and okay. And then they do something really horrific and horrendous. I mean, there's little signs here and there, but you just ignore them because you basically have to in order to get along with the family. Because if you don't, then you're the troublemaker, and then you're the bitch, or you're the jerk, or whatever the case may be. So anyways, to get back into this, retrograde stuff. Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Throughout November, Neptune remained retrograde in Pisces, dissolving illusions and encouraging a clear understanding of personal boundaries and spiritual practices. So that's what, I'm just having to really deal with all of this stuff, because I want to become a better person. I want to refine myself. I want to become the best version of Patricia that I can be. And that means getting rid of the people and the things in my life that no longer serve me. And that's how I think a lot of people are dealing with this. They have to, it's not because we don't love the people in our family. We do. We do love them. But they've done evil stuff. And they're unsafe people. And they will destroy us if we don't put our foot down and put some distance between us and them for a time being, until they can prove that they have worked on themselves and their own issues. So what can you do? Unless you want to just keep on continuing to be around people that drag you down, and then they're going to drag you down with them. Like somebody who's out in the ocean and they don't know how to swim, and you're trying to save them. You can't save them. The only person you can save is your own self. So this is what we're dealing with. So Saturn was in Pisces and Neptune was in Pisces. Who else was in Pisces? I guess nobody else. Neptune. Yeah. So that was the 5. So to reiterate, or to recap, Mercury was in Sagittarius in retrograde. Jupiter was in Cancer in retrograde. Saturn was in Pisces in retrograde. Uranus was in Taurus in retrograde. And Neptune was in Pisces in retrograde. So as you can see, November was quite challenging. And from reading in different forums online, I wasn't the only one experiencing all of this turmoil. And the world is experiencing turmoil if you're paying attention to all the political things. So here are a few of the problems that I've been coming up against, making improvements in my own life and working on my creative projects, my creative projects are probably the most important thing to me, because I didn't realize it until like not too long ago. That's really what drives me, is expressing myself through my creativity, whether it be painting, drawing, sculpture, art, any kind of art. I love music. I wish I knew how to play the piano, because I feel like it just draws me in. Like, I would just love to learn. Maybe someday I will be able to, once I get a piano. My mom's mom played the piano really well, and some of her sisters. And then I have cousins that play the piano. One of my cousins, oh my goodness, he is so talented. But so there's that. And then it makes me come alive, and I just feel like another person when I'm making something beautiful that I feel is beautiful. And it makes me excited to see it progress. Anyways, so there's problems within my own self, that I sabotage myself with, and then just things that I deal with my mental problems that I can't change, but I can try to work around them. And then there's problems within my environment, like the neighbors making noise, but which I have to just make my videos or work on my projects when they're not making the noise. But that's a problem, because my energy levels are unpredictable. Like, I can't predict when I'm going to have, well, I can somewhat predict it, but then there's other, like things that I don't know. I think I'm an empath, maybe. I don't know. Because this video is getting really long. And I'm not going to edit it because I don't want to. It's a lot of work. So I'll try to stay on track. Here's my problems. I don't feel like my problems are character flaws throughout my life because I'm a Gen X. People like my parents, my older brothers and sisters, my teachers, my classmates, even my friends would try to like act like that was a character flaw, you know. For instance, always being late, being slow in speaking, being slow to digest what somebody else is saying and responding to them, because it takes me a few minutes or seconds to process and understand what somebody is telling me and to think of what I want to say and say it in a proper way so that I don't offend them and I'm not coming across as rude or offensive. See, that's something that I struggle with because I'm neurodivergent. I just know it. Like, I haven't been diagnosed, but who cares? I know. I know because I know me. I'm the person that has to live with me 24/7 for the last 55 years. Anyways, so if you want to know more, look up executive brain function, or executive function brain. If you have problems with your executive function brain and you're my age or older, so I'm 55, I'm a Gen X, you probably didn't get the special coaching and education that some of the young people are able to get today. And I've looked it up, so I know it exists. There are, well, I know that special programs exist to help the children today. My lips get dry because I have thyroid problems. That's another health problem I have to deal with. And my adrenal glands, because of years and years of living in fight or flight, and having an extremely sensitive sensory system. Because I have, I'm also, some people, I know I'm getting off topic again, but some people think that this doesn't exist. It's called a highly sensitive individual. And a lady named Elaine Aron has written a few books on it, and she's the one who really kind of brought it to the attention of everybody, and because she herself, and I think it's a separate issue from autism and ADHD and being neurodivergent, because not everybody who is HSP, highly sensitive person, has autism or is ADHD, but a lot of times it can go hand in hand, because autism has a lot of sensory issues, but they exist apart from each other. Because I was kind of sorry, I made the camera. I have to have a weird setup on my bed so that I can be comfortable. Anyways, so I've researched this, and I know that it exists, that people can get help, but it usually consists of being young enough to be in the school system. Otherwise, you have to, if you're an adult, you have to pay for everything yourself, and it's expensive. Um, a lot of us have problems having employment because our energy levels are so inconsistent. We don't have consistent energy, and you can't be successful at a job because you're like falling asleep, or um you're just not present. You can't you can't function. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So there's workarounds for learning different disabilities and people who have different brains who are on the spectrum. This is my personal theory and belief. It's not nobody else, it's not like a thing. It's not in the what do you call it, DSMR book, the diagnostic book of, whatever, that diagnose different mental conditions. But this is my personal belief. I think we all have different brains. So there's different types of people, different types of humans. And that's just how God, because I'm a believer, God has made different types of humans for different, so that we can work together as a community. Because some people have really good strengths and talents that they bring to the community and to their work. And then other people have everybody's not like perfect, and nobody's like, oh, I can do everything. So we have to rely on each other and respect and appreciate each other's strengths and weaknesses. Because not everybody can be perfect. You can't be the perfect person that this stupid system that we're living under expects you to be. I mean, and some strengths and gifts are valued over others. And that'll be a topic for another video, because I need to talk about that. The system that we're living in is not, it's just not sustainable. It's not conducive to everybody's happiness. And we have to think about everybody. Each and every one of us should be considered. Unless we're doing evil, detrimental things that poison the community and the world, then that has to be considered carefully and dealt with. And I'm not really sure how. I guess God is going to have to deal with it, because we're getting to a point where I don't think humans can deal with the problems that these troublemakers, the control freaks, are causing for the rest of us. So that's, I'm getting off topic, but I have to go by my script, I guess, but I'm getting, I'm just speaking from the heart and from my thoughts. And I do cover that in later on in here, but as you'll see when I get to that part. So anyways, let's sorry. My laptop is broken, so it makes a noise. A lot of this new research and information didn't exist when I was younger. Even if it did, it wasn't available to the average layperson like myself, who wasn't doing professional research in the areas of brain function, personality, characteristics, human development, etc. See, I've always known that I was different, and I felt that I was different because I have a keen intuition, and I observed that when I'd say something, there's like a look of blank, or when somebody else would say something, I wouldn't understand what they're talking about. I was like, huh? And I don't think I've ever really found anybody who I've actually really have been able to connect with on a deep level. And I'm always hoping that I will find that person someday. But if not, that's just what I have to accept. I have God and my faith in God, and I talk to God a lot, and I read His Word, and it really helps sustain me. It helps keep me going, and it's like pure water. Like Yeshua said to the lady at the well, come to me and I will give you the clear, clean, pure water that only I can give. So I've always felt like I was different, and I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, not even in my own family. Most especially at school. School was like scary. It was torture, really. I mean, there's some good things. Like all my art classes were pretty good, and I enjoyed history and literature. But basically, I just really didn't want to be there ever. I have an extremely active brain, and I can't shut it down. I can't quiet it. It's always going. It's like there's like a little mouse in there running on its little wheel all the time. Learning about both psychology and astrology has helped me understand myself and to not be so critical of myself, because now I understand what's going on. So I have a critical side, I'm probably my own worst critic. I notice everything bad about myself, and so I'm trying to be more forgiving and give myself more grace. Um, but that comes from my moon, which is in Virgo. So Virgo is a very analytical sign. There's both good and bad to every sign. And so having your moon in Virgo, you notice and you want to perfect. You've got like this perfectionist tendency that wants to just work at things until it's perfect. But not everything can be perfect, and sometimes, a lot of times, there's beauty in imperfection. So, you know, I'm realizing that now. um, and then my active brain comes from my Mercury. Mercury. See, I can't even. I'm even critical of how the way I speak. My Mercury is in Sagittarius, and so Mercury, it's the planet of travel and communication and thought. And Sagittarius is a fire sign, so it's very active. So that's, my thinking is very active. I have a very active brain, and I've always been very inquisitive. I was that child who pestered my mom and any other adult. And I would say, why? Why? Why is it this way? Why is it that way? Why? Why? And sometimes, well, a lot of times people would get annoyed because they couldn't get to the root of the problem, of the question that I was asking. And so, um, as an adult, and with the internet, the internet was like, when I came along and I learned how to use it, I was in seventh heaven. I would spend hours. My ex-husband would come out, because he's the one who taught me how to use it, and he would come out and say, it would be like 2 a.m. Aren't you coming to bed? What are you doing out here? And I would say, soon, I'm reading something. And I think he thought I was probably cheating on him, but well, in a way I probably was, because what you put your concentration and effort into can become a form of cheating, or too much, like, because God warns us to not make anything a god, and you have to be careful. So you have to be mindful of that. Anything that comes between you and God. But on the other hand, I feel like if I don't find these things out, then I can't serve God in the way that I need to and that He deserves. My throat's getting dry because I don't really talk that much. I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have any friends. I really, really don't have any friends. Yeah, I have a few friends, but not, you know, good friends that you can call up and talk to for hours, and then they don't say anything about, because my poor brother who passed away, he was like that. He was very, very lonely. And he would call, you know, different people in our family, including myself, and we would end up talking for hours and hours on the phone. And I would have to mute the phone so that I could eat or go to the bathroom, because I knew he had to talk. I knew he had to get it out of him. And he was so funny. He would say, well, I have to go now, because he'd try to make it like I was the one keeping him on the phone. But, poor guy. And now I'm like him. Because, ooh, there's a train. You get to a point in your life where nobody wants to listen to you anymore, and then you become really cynical, and you become very pessimistic, and you're not a very pleasant person to be around, because you trauma dump on people. And I guess maybe I'm doing that in the video, but you can just I don't know, you don't have to listen to me. You can fast forward it or change it. I'm trying to change my position without causing the video to upend. Anyways, I gotta get to the bottom of this, and I'm only like maybe halfway through. So let me try to get on with this. Sorry. I just keep on going off on a tangent, but you know why? I've explained it. I don't have anybody to talk to. This is my outlet. So if you're listening, I really appreciate you listening, but it's not necessary for you to listen. You can just switch off the video anytime you want. Anyways, I started reading self-help books and getting into books on cluster B personality disorder. And if you don't know what that is, you can just do an internet search. It's quite, there's a lot to it. I first got into self-help books because my ex-husband said there was something wrong with me. I was too sensitive, and I needed to fix myself. Basically, I needed to go to therapy, and which I did. I went to therapy. I went to psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists. Got put on the mind-numbing medications, which had side effects, which maybe I might even have side effects to this day. We don't know, because all of those drugs are experimental. So we're guinea pigs, basically. But I got off of them eventually, and got divorced because he found somebody else. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and quickly enough in order for him to, you know, accept me. And I just wasn't good enough for him, I guess. We grew apart. We probably shouldn't have gotten married in the first place because we wanted different things out of life. He wanted a more traditional, um, you know, um, I don't know how you say it, a traditional, um, predictable, predictable life where he had each stage planned out so that it would go successfully. And me with my neurodivergent, which I didn't know I had at the time. I had no idea. I had no idea what was wrong with me. I just thought I was depressed. And then very much later, way much later, I found out that I actually have autism, and it appears differently in women. So, girls and women. Anyways, that's another story for another time. So I started just reading any book that I could find that I thought might help me figure out how to fix myself, to fix my marriage, because I loved my husband and my ex-husband, and I wanted to make it work, but then I didn't have the tools necessary to fix it. Plus, I had to do it all on my own. I felt like he acted like there's nothing wrong with him and that everything was on my shoulders. All the problems in the marriage were on my shoulders, and it was all my fault, and that I needed to fix my own self, So, and we did try to go to couples therapy, which was a huge mistake because the therapist was a man, and he took my ex-husband's side, and he had no clue about autism or ADHD or how that looks in different people, because it was only until maybe the mid 2000s that they started really talking about that. And I got divorced in 2004, so we started having problems around 2001. So yeah, it wasn't a thing. The therapist just thought I was being a jerk, that I had attitude problems, and that I had character flaws, and that wasn't trying hard enough. When there was underlying reasons why I was late to things, why I didn't have energy. If you don't have energy, that's not a character flaw. That's an underlying health problem. And it's usually mostly to do with your adrenal glands and your thyroid. And they gaslight you. The medical industry gaslights you on those issues. They put a narrow you take the tests, and then if you don't fit in this narrow framework, oh, then you don't have thyroid or adrenal problems. When you could be just like on the cusp, but then they won't help you. Maybe now they will, but before, I don't know, because I don't go to the doctor anymore. I'm not going to be gaslit. I'm not going to be screwed with my brain. It's a brain screw. I'm not going to be treated with disrespect. And made to feel less than by somebody who I'm just not. So that's me standing up for myself. So anyways, I got into reading books on cluster B personality disorders because I met a man online after my divorce. I met him in I think it was 2006. And I invited him to come live with me, which was like really, really stupid. I was so naive. Um, but I just didn't, I was so trusting and stupid and naive. And this person, he, I think he had a personality disorder. He was either a psychopath or a narcissist, a malignant narcissist, because he really did a lot of mental damage to myself. And he lived with me for like 3 months before I finally, I was able to kick him out of my house because he awoke in me the hidden Scorpio. I wasn't going to be treated like that by anybody. The way he disrespected me and called me disgusting names. And when I was trying to be nice to him, and this is how my dad was. Like, I would try to do something nice, and then I don't know what the hell, they turn it around and just completely ruin the day. Like, you try to make a nice dinner or dessert or something, and then they'll complain that it's too salty, or it's too this or too that, or I don't know. They just like say, do something to trash your efforts, your effort from the heart to make a nice, a nice meal or a nice dessert or a nice day, whatever the case may be. They deliberately ruin it, and then your heart gets broken. My heart would get broken because I was genuinely trying to um, do something nice, and that's what they would do every single time. It's like the cartoon, the Peanuts cartoon. Lucy's got the football and she's holding it for Charlie Brown, and then she says, "Come on, Chuck. I won't. I won't move it this time. I promise." And then you can see him thinking about it, like in the cartoon. And then so he runs with all his might to kick it, and she goes, and he kicks, and because he's at such a momentum that he like flies up into the air because he's kicking, trying to kick the ball, and then he lands on his ass. That's what these people do to you. You put in your best effort, you run your hardest, you try to kick that ball with all your might, and then they flip the ball up and smile gleefully because that's where they get their happiness from. They're not like normal people who get happiness from seeing the light and the smile on somebody's face when you give them a beautiful cake or pie or cookies or steak dinner, whatever the case may be, whatever their hearts desire, whatever they like, you know um they want to see you with a pained expression on your face and tears running down your face, because that's they get pleasure out of that. They're not like normal people. So that's why I just was so confused after that relationship. I had to figure out what the hell was wrong with that man. And I did. I did find out what was wrong with him, because I had no idea about narcissism at the time or personality disorders. Machiavellianism. Um, what else? There's narcissism, there's sociopathy, there's psychopathy, there's they try to put it all under one umbrella now, because um, the foxes are guarding the hen house, so to speak. So the people that make up all these, they're constantly changing, you know, constantly trying to change the wording, the what you call things, you know, try to put it in a general, broad, expansive, just like they try to do with neurodivergent, try to get rid of the Asperger's and try to lump us all into one huge group, which it doesn't work, because there's some people that are high, you know, that can deal with some things, but they need help on little things. And then there's people that at the other end of the spectrum who need a lot of help in their daily lives because they can't. And there's no judgment, but we're all different. So we can't be lumped in with, it's just stupid. Anyways, let me get back to what I was talking about. My whole worldview shifted after finding all of this out. It was like, it's like, I know what it's like. Okay, you're a baby, you're a child. Your parents tell you there's no Santa Claus, and that just, or no Easter Bunny. You find out somehow. So your whole worldview changes. That's how it was for me after I found out about the cluster B people, because I just wanted to think that everybody was like me, or reasonable people, you know, people that take pleasure out of making other people happy, and take pleasure out of sharing good times with their loved ones, and what else? You know, watching a good movie, or reading a good book, or having a good meal, or seeing a beautiful sunset. Those people, they understand it on a visceral level, like a mental level, but they don't feel it in their heart. It's not like a, they can't feel it. Um, it's not a pleasure, like a really deep felt, you know, happiness. And if they do feel happiness, it's for a very brief moment. But their feelings are very surface level. It's very brief. Like, because narcissism is on a spectrum, just like autism. Because everybody has narcissism to a certain degree, because it's like a you have to have a healthy level of narcissism in order to stick up for yourself and to protect yourself from people walking all over you, or you know, having boundaries so that, you know, you can tell people, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with you treating me that way. I don't like you to yell at me or call me names, for instance. You can't do that to me. if you're angry, go take a walk. Don't take it out on me. That's how we need to remember to be. Because I get angry. I know, like, I need to just get out and breathe some fresh air. You know, stop with the saying anything. Don't say anything. Just say, I need some time because I'm angry. So I need some time to digest and to deal with it. Excuse me, please. But it takes practice to do that. It's not easy. So anyway, a lot of our parents didn't teach us how to do that. Like they weren't really good role models when they got angry. They dealt with their anger in unhealthy ways. So then we learned unhealthy ways. So then we have to rethink it when we become adults, and it's difficult to do. So anyways, this video is getting way too long. I'm sorry. I'm just rambling on. But I'm not going to edit it because I hate editing. It's not that I hate editing, it's because it takes a long time to learn, for me anyways, to learn how to use different um, editing software. And since I don't have endless money to spend on different software, it takes me a long time to learn how to use the free stuff, which isn't always the best. Let me get back to what I was talking about. So there's really no help for people with cluster B personality disorders, according to the experts. If you listen to the experts, they will tell you, no, there's no help for them. Because they have a different brain. When they do brain scans, their brain lights up in different areas than other people's. So they can't be fixed. Maybe they can be fixed with psychedelic mushrooms, or technology. Maybe technology is at a point where it could fix their brains. But the important thing is they don't want to be fixed because they see themselves as perfect. They see themselves as better than the rest of us. They see us as the flawed ones, they see us as the ones who need to be fixed. That's why there's this thing called transhumanism. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. They want us to be fixed so that we're perfect. Because they think that they're perfect. My mom used to do this cute little thing. She'd go, that's how I think about them. These people, these control freaks that have developed this system that we're living in. I'm not even sure if they're human. They look human, but maybe they're not. Who knows? Only God knows, I guess. So I've hesitated to talk about my own personal circumstances on these videos because we're entering into a dangerous time. Just look around us. Just look around and you see. It seems that the progress that we were making collectively and understanding and improving ourselves and our communities. And I was hoping that, by 2025 you'd think racism and prejudice would be a thing of the past. But I guess because we're human, like, we're not perfect, it's always going to be a problem. It's a spiritual problem. Because if you meet other people who are believers, true believers, they make an effort to see you as an individual and a precious creation of God. But I feel like the progress that we are making is being deliberately dialed back. You see a lot of racism going on with this. I don't want to get into it because everybody knows what's happening. It's evil. And a lot of us have, we cry ourselves to sleep thinking about it, of what's being done. The inhumane treatment. It's absolutely disgusting. I come from a family with these types of people, these personality, cluster B personality disordered people. They haven't been diagnosed, but the proof is in the pudding. When you see people doing stuff that it doesn't make any sense. And it's immorally wrong. There's something wrong with them. I have even thought that I myself might be a narcissist at times, because there's something called, if you get into the lingo, after a while, when you study narcissism, you find out that, you growing up in these families, there's called fleas. You're not necessarily a narcissist, but you get these fleas from them, and then you're not aware of yourself until you really start thinking about it. And then you can shed the fleas when you become aware and you start trying to better yourself, your own self, and not be, like they are. Always making it about yourself. Like there's some kind of there's always some kind of what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now, but I'll talk about it later in another video, because it's important to talk about all of these different things, because some people aren't aware that they're even I wasn't aware that I was doing something wrong until I really had to start examining my own behavior and saying, wait, I do that. Oh my goodness. Ew. I really have to stop doing that. So I try. Anyways, I'm not a narcissist. Thank God. If you want to do your own research, it seems like neurodivergent people, as in people with Asperger's, ADHD, autism spectrum, highly sensitive people, so on and so forth. We come from these families that are mixed in with the cluster B personality disordered people. It's like I don't know. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, It's just the way it is. I've done extensive reading throughout the years. I've had to continue to keep this subject relevant and up to date in my own life, because if I let myself become complacent, then another person comes in that screws my life up, a cluster B person. I've thought that I've healed and that I could live a peaceful life, and then sure enough, somebody comes in, like usually through my family. They will backstab me. I'd previously had a great relationship with them, and then something goes wrong, and then they backstab me, and then they try to say lies and tell the rest of my family that that I'm the person in the wrong, whatever. I have to take a break. Well, I'm gonna have to just continue this video in part B, I guess, because I'm getting kind of oversensitized. So I'll talk more in part B. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later.